Namaste. I know how you must be feeling right now. You're broken, you're in pain, you feel like it's going to never get better. Here are some of the things that my patients also tell me. The hope is really the worst part to let go of. Imagine that. You have this hope that they're going to come back. Heartaches are painful. You want to hug them, but you know you have to let go. Imagine that pain that you must be feeling in your stomach, in your chest, not able to eat, not able to sleep. I still cry every day. I can't go on. I'm scared. Imagine some of those words. We'll just sit with that for a second. I can't. It's too hard. It's too difficult. And I'm scared. Everything ended in a few texts. She was perfect for me. Can you believe that? If you're talking to somebody for a period of time, you have some type of an emotional connection, you have intimacy, and then they end it in a couple of texts. That's exactly what happened to me a few weeks ago. And I've been sitting with this, and for several years, what I would do when I would go through a breakup before is I would try to text them back, try to text an ex, maybe go online, go back to dating. But there are these few mindset shifts that I've done over the years. And I want to share that with you to see if I can inspire you on this journey of heartbreak, heartache, and breakup. I'm Dhruva, MD, a practicing board-certified family doctor. I have been sober from alcohol, drugs, marijuana, gambling debt, and self-hate since July 31st of 2018. I not only come to you as a medical doctor, but I come to you as a patient as well, because I've lived through these experiences. And what I've done is the things that harmed my body. It just helped me through that period of time for like a minute, an hour, and then there would be a crash. And I want to explain to you how withdrawing from sugar, from alcohol, from drugs is very similar, and how the science identifies that you are going through withdrawal when you are having heartbreak, when you're having heartache and you feel like you want to be with your partner. When it comes to some of the things that I've seen as a medical doctor, there's a lot of problems that I've seen with patients who have had emotional instability. People call it, you need to emotionally regulate yourself. I don't like to use emotional regulation as a way to help and heal yourself. What you want to do is you want to be able to accept and embrace these things. You want to be able to understand your thoughts. You don't want to fix them. You don't want to overcome them, because what happens is that you develop resentments towards yourself. Over the 7 years that I've been single for 7 years total in my life, actually 10 years. But in the 3 years that I was single when I was in residency, I was actively looking for somebody. But this 7 years, I was single on purpose. There were a few girls that would ask me out, but I said, no, I need to understand what I'm doing. Why am I trying to control somebody else? Why am I trying to fix somebody else? Why am I saying that you need to be better when I hated myself, when I had low self-esteem, I had low confidence, I displaced my own fears on other people. I didn't take time to sit down and ask myself what I wanted. Instead, I talked bad to myself. I said I was stupid, I was dumb, I was not good enough, I'll never be with anybody. Psychiatrists, therapists would say I have anxiety, ADHD, bipolar, depression, and I'm like, sure, and I'm a patient, right? I've suffered so much with medications that I just had to come up with something new. And the one thing that I thought would help me was just not to be around anybody and be alone. And I hid that for many years. It was embarrassing for me for several years that I was alone. I thought I was dumb, like I wasn't able to receive love. I wasn't able to be with anybody. I thought nobody would ever want to be with me. What I did was I just said, okay, all right, well, let me see what I need to do to take care of myself. And that's where this journey begins. And right now, I'm so glad and so proud of myself that after this ghost, and we're not going to talk bad about anybody. That's not what these videos are about. These videos are not shifting the focus away to somebody else. They did that to me. I can't believe them. Why did they do that to me? Why me? I'm so good. I deserve better. No. That's not what these videos are going to be about. They're going to be about not holding you accountable, not creating discipline, not creating good habits, not saying that you need to do this to be in a certain place. What we want to do here is just sit with ourselves, maybe for an hour. Okay, fine, let's start with a second, and then a minute, and then an hour, and then a day, and then a month, and maybe a year. I had to sit with myself for 5 years to go on the journey from self-hate to self-love. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. All I thought was I was discarded, I was dumb, I was stupid, I couldn't be with anybody. I'm a doctor. People would tell me, you're a doctor, you can get with anybody. But we only really remember the rejections. And it's not like I haven't rejected girls too. And what happened during this ghost was that I was like, dang, like what happened? Like there was no argument. We didn't have like a fight. We never disputed over anything. We met a handful of times over a few months. But there was nothing that happened, and all of a sudden it just ended. And this was just recently. And as I'm thinking about it, and I'm like thinking, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do right now? Well, what I need to do is take care of my spiritual health, my mind health, my physical health, my financial health, my core values health. And I'm going to live within my core values. And then I'm like, I might as well take patience and people on a journey, because people ask me to speak about some of the things that people would like to call overcame. I would like to say I inspired from. People always ask me to speak on these things. I was in juvenile detention when I was younger. My family took me to India. I became a medical doctor. I completely rebranded myself from a juvenile detainee to a medical doctor. My mom was institutionalized for 27 years with schizophrenia. I took her out of a psychiatric facility. We lived together. Of course, I went to rehab. I got sober, been sober for almost 7 years. But the big journey is self-hate to self-love, by myself, living alone with nobody there, nobody protecting me. And during that time, I hated myself. My patient scores were so bad. I had to do something to keep my job too. And one time I went to my therapist and I was like, look, and I started crying to her in my EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapist. And I'm like, look, here's a patient complaint. This is not who I am. I'm not one of those doctors who talks bad about patients, who says that they're dumb, they're stupid, it's their fault. Because I blame myself for everything. So I'm like, what do I need to do here? And that's when some of the medical evidence that goes into some of these feelings that you have are not abnormal. Serotonin drops, norepinephrine drops, oxytocin, which is the bonding chemical. Some of these things show up, light up in an MRI of the brain when people are going through a breakup. It's comparable to physical pain. These drops are so severe. You want it so bad. You want to just text that person. You want to just talk to them. You want to explain to them that this wasn't their fault. You want to just do whatever you can to get back together with them, or do whatever you can to be with somebody else. Well, here's the shift that I'm going to ask you to try to write about. Remember, in the practice of mind hygiene, what I've developed living by myself to heal myself, to believe in myself, is you have to be doing intense writing and only worrying about what happened with you. You don't want to be thinking about anybody else. You don't want to be talking to anybody else. You don't even want to listen to me. I'm not giving you advice today. I'm just inspiring you and healing myself on the journey. With that said, the therapy and medical evidence show that cognitive behavioral therapy helps you identify what you're actually thinking and how your thoughts are triggering your pain. As an example, before, when I was in residency and I was single, I was dating, what would happen is that, let's say that there was a person, there's plenty of girls that have ghosted me, okay? But there's only a few that you really remember. And, when you got ghosted, you wouldn't think anything of it. I would first initially implicitly tell myself I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm not good enough, I have anxiety, I have ADD, I have bipolar, nobody likes me. I'm an addict. I was smoking at the time, I was drinking, not excessively. But in any event, that's my implicit bias, that I'm stupid, I'm dumb. But on the outside, I'm going to call somebody up and say, hey, look, bro, and this girl, man, I went out with her and I even paid for dinner. And I even said that she looks good. And you know what? I kept calm and I didn't talk about myself too much either. But she didn't like me. Oh, hey, man, you know what, bro? You a doctor, man. You don't need anybody. Hey, you want to go out? You want to hang out, man? The best thing for a breakup is hanging out. And I'm not mad at my younger self. And I'm not mad at my younger self for maybe texting the next few girls that I could have went on a date with. But what I would like to tell my younger self is that, look, you have this awareness. On the inside, you're completely mindless. There's no self-awareness. You don't know what mindfulness is. I had no idea what compassion and empathy were at that time. I didn't know what a self-limiting belief was. I just wish that I had known those things. And that's where ACEs, Your Life with Mind Hygiene, comes in. ACEs, ACES. A is accept your awareness. What's going on the inside? What's the implicit bias? That person did me wrong. I can't believe them. How dare them? That's the explicit bias. Meaning you really know that there could have been something that you could have done better. Maybe you could have been more compassionate towards yourself, not resented somebody else, and not taken it out on somebody else. Now that's being present, not being absent-minded. That's being mindful, not being mindless. That's living with purpose, not purposeless. That's being intentional, not mindless, or blocking things out, or what people will say, mind over matter, drinking. What's going to happen is that when you accept your awareness, that's the A part, that's going to be your best drug in this situation, is that you just radically accept what it is. And we'll talk more about dialectical behavioral therapy in other videos too. I am a medical doctor, but I'm really coming to you as a patient, interestingly. With cognitive behavioral therapy, when I first started, like, what was it, like 10 years ago, I would go to Tacoma. I was working in Auburn at the time, in Washington, and Tacoma is in a different county, maybe like 45 minutes away. And I was like, oh, hopefully a patient won't see me. I knew there was something wrong up here. And after my ex-wife left, I was like, I'm going to be single forever until I understand what it means to love myself, which I didn't understand at that time. But see, I did the C part of the ACEs, is communicate with compassion. I'm like, look, okay, fine. I'm going to go to the therapist. I'm going to drink a beer afterwards, but still I'm taking an action step, the next best action step. And I rap. But when it comes to a rapper, they're writing all the time. And I had that advantage, right? I had that unfair advantage of writing all the time, the unfair advantage of listening to patient stories. What does compassion mean to you? I was able to understand what's triggering my pain. And that's where the E comes in. E is embrace your empathy, where you understand that my dad abused me, beat me, would make me hit my mom. Now I understand that my dad was hurting. You can see here how I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not saying he's the problem, because I've empathized with some of the things that he's done because he didn't know any better. I've gotten upset. I've said mean things. I've never been physical, but I have some of the traits that my dad had, controlling, make people feel bad. My dad would always tell me, you're stupid, you're dumb. And I don't want to say these things to other people. And that's where I embrace myself empathetically. S is one of my favorite parts. That comes to more dialectical behavioral therapy and eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy. The S is soft in the process. Don't make it seem like it's hard, difficult, stressful, too much, too long. If you have those self-limiting beliefs, you know how challenging it will be for you to not overcome, but accept your awareness, saying that you say can't, don't, won't, will not, do not, all the time. Those self-limiting beliefs are so hard to accept. And when you're talking to somebody about it, that's one of the worst things that anybody can do when they're trying to heal their mind. You don't want to be the person who blocks things out, talks to somebody that agrees with you, and then goes out dating and is in another relationship. Because a lot of these things that you'll say, oh, I hate that person. Oh, that person did me so wrong. Oh, they had a bad childhood. You don't want to say those things. You want to be able to understand what happened to you first, only worry about what you did, try to find somebody who will share those same values, and then you'll be able to live a better relationship and be the best version of yourself. Brain scans show that heartbreak activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the same reason that lights up physical pain. Imagine that. Some of the things that you're experiencing, the heartache, the pain, hoping that they're going to text back, looking at your phone all the time, maybe looking at their social media, talking to other people about them, or having reminders of hanging out, going somewhere, eating food, sitting here. Some of those things are like the dopamine and oxytocin withdrawal that occur are real chemical cravings for connection. And this is a study by Beck, J.S. in 2011 in Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, Basics and Beyond. Reframing thoughts and identifying emotional behaviors has a direct effect on mood regulation and personal recovery. Let's break this down for a second. Reframing your thoughts, how about we call it creating a new reality? That's rational emotive behavioral therapy. Let's just say this doesn't exist anymore. We need a new reality. Identifying emotional behaviors. I don't like this word behavior. Discipline, habits, good, bad habits. I'm always talking to my patients about, look, I'm not the one that's going to believe in diet, exercise, weight loss. We need to understand why we're doing what we're doing. What are you doing when you're eating? Are you sitting in front of the TV, eating mindlessly? Are you getting full? Is that what's happening? You don't want to do that. Put those things on the do not do list is what I first say. Don't go on a diet. Don't exercise. Right now, I'm not preaching any of that stuff to you, meaning the behavior word is bad. You want to be able to invest. You call it emotional freedom. Mood regulation. I want to stay away from these words. I don't want to control my mind. Gosh darn it. I want to accept it. I want to love it. I want to embrace it. And I want to soften the process. I want to aces my life with mind hygiene and right. I want to say, I accept that I got upset because I took whatever another person did on me out on this person. Now what are you doing? You're able to accept your awareness. Now you might think this is hard or difficult, but this is one of the best drugs on earth. Now you believe that you can do it again, and you got to keep on doing it. And this is where Mind Hygiene developed, and you can find a link in the description below. There's a free Mind Hygiene PDF. You can follow along, and you can always send me messages too, and you can email me as well to see what you're going through, and I would like to see how you're processing Mind Hygiene, which is a writing process that's supported by medical evidence that will help you be the best version of yourself, especially if you live alone, don't believe in yourself, don't have family, don't have friends. My mom died, my brother died, my dad is somewhere else. I have my dog, Suarna, my cat, Ajay, and I have another cat that's never around. And that's it. And nothing against anybody else, but I'm on this journey by myself. I got to heal myself. And I'm so proud of myself that this time after this ghost, I never talked to anybody about it. I first wanted to understand what I did. And when I realized that both of us didn't really do anything wrong, she's just serving herself. She had to do what she needed to do for herself. And this is not placating it. This is not saying I'm strong, I'm a good person, I'm a bad person, I'm a positive thinker, I'm a negative thinker. Those are not in the practice of Mind Hygiene. We don't do any of those things. We just accept it. And we create a different reality around it. And you want to create a survival kit. You want to create a rejection toolkit. With this medical evidence that's behind this, at least you'll hit a 30 to 35% reduction, which is very similar to mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which Mind Hygiene heavily draws from, metacognitive therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, and all the writing technique is based on all of these. When you take something like Zoloft, sertraline, you're probably getting a 30% reduction. You go out in nature during that time, 30% reduction. When you do alcohol, drugs, you might get 80, 90% reduction during that time. And that's why people engage in those behaviors. Sugar, some of those things will lead to high levels of reduction for a short period of time. What's the definition of a habit, a bad habit? Short-term pleasure with long-term consequences. So this is the thing I will implore of you guys. When you have these emotional, people call it dysregulation, these emotional problems, what happens is that the emotions run so high, you compromise your spiritual health, your mind health. You don't meditate, you don't sit down, you don't sit with yourself, you don't write what's going on. You don't take care of your physical body. Oh, I'm going through a hard time, difficult time, and I'm not trying to placate or minimize what you're experiencing, because I did all of these things, right? I was 60, 70 pounds overweight just like a year ago. I've been in shape 45 years of my life. I've been in shape for what, 4 or 5 years? I know what it takes to stay where I am. And I want to live within those core values. When I'm going through a breakup now, I want to sit down and I want to understand what my core beliefs are. And I'm not going to, what people call compromise, I'm not going to divest out of that. I'm going to invest in myself. And when I show up in the next relationship, I'm going to share the same values where they work out still no matter what happens. They take care of their core values no matter what happens. I don't want to see a doctor when I'm 65 with a heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, heart attack. I'm not going to do that. And I'm the only one that can take care of myself. And that's why I have developed this technique that helps me. And when you find these small reductions, working out 30% reduction, I don't eat sugar anymore, 30% reduction, all of these reductions will lead to maybe about a 60, 70% day. Imagine that day where you're operating at 80%, you feel good 80% of the day when you're by yourself, you don't have a partner, you're not in desperate need of somebody, you feel good, you look good, you dress good. I wear cologne even by myself at home. How about that? Was that embarrassing to say maybe years ago? I think it could have been embarrassing to say. I believe in myself so much that I'm living this life where I'm not reaching out to an ex. I'm not going to do somebody else wrong that likes me and me go back and like them while I'm still hurting from this person ghosting me. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's why I just take 1 second every 90 minutes and just write a line here, a line there. And then sometimes I might write more and more and more. What I would like for you to do is understand that when you show compassion to yourself, when you embrace yourself, when you love yourself, when you love what you don't like about yourself, and then you forgive yourself, you're able to empathize in motion. When I see patients now, I just sit back and I'm just like, you took so much time to come here and sit down with me. My patient reviews were so bad before. Now I have over 1,200 patient scores that are great. I'm a patient experience speaker now. They're like, how'd you do it, man? I just said, look, I stopped hating myself. I was single, I lived alone, I didn't want to harm anybody else. When patients say you don't listen, when patients say you're condescending, I'm like, Now I say, okay, I agree with you because I hated myself. I was condescending to myself. Do you see where I'm coming from here? And this journey could take you several years. And what you want to do is you don't want to feel like you're alone on it. Everybody feels this way. You know how I know that? Because I see patients all the time. I've seen over 130K patients in my career. They all feel a certain way. I'm so grateful for all the stories that they've told me because I'm learning from them and inspiring you along this journey. If this message resonated with you, please subscribe. I'll be dropping videos at 4 p.m. Wednesday Pacific Standard Time on how to believe in yourself if you live alone and have mental illness. Namaste. Also, please make sure that you drop a comment and let us know what you think about this video and how it could be better. Next up, we'll talk about medical evidence that shows that your self-esteem can break after a heartbreak and what the science says. Namaste.